And welcome back to Lantern Corps. Today's Lantern Corps suggestion comes to us from Perfect Cell, who asked the question, what's the Fonz' Lantern Corps? Look, I won't lie and say I know a huge amount of the Fonz' character. I know he was always kind of the good, happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and he was one of the, I don't know if he was the main character of Happy Days, but he was very much a main player on Happy Days. He was always the cool guy. He never sweated stuff, You could start a jukebox by hitting it. He kind of was just like always in control and always kind of like I'm a good mood guy. Every once in a while, something would happen, like the scene where he was like kind of being a big brother to a kid whose dad was kind of being neglectful. He was disappointed. He was sad. Disappointed is not the right word. He was sad about the kid having to go. And he even says, "You think you'll remember me?" But he ultimately got over it and went about his life. So look, I will do the best I can for the Fonz here, but let's break it down. Break down the ones I don't think work. Black doesn't work. He's not dead, didn't die, and doesn't worship death. Despite being a pretty lively guy, I really don't see him being a Lantern of Life either. I don't think that works. Nor do I think he's a shame Lantern, an ultraviolet Lantern. I don't recall him really carrying a lot of shame about a lot in his life. Going into some of the more regular ones, nothing really stands out. He doesn't look like he's ever had to overcome great fear, unless you count the jumping the shark bit. Anything above standard willpower. Fear, he's not a scary dude. Rage, he's never really angry. Love, is that what motivates him? Is that what drives him? The little I remember, not so much. Definitely not a greedy guy. And hope, I don't know, maybe people might put their trust in him, but I don't know about hope. Let alone the hope let alone anything close to hope that he carries in him. So the weirdly, the two that work the best might be Compassion, because he is a pretty, chill guy, and he's there for his friends quite a bit. So you can make an argument for Compassion. But between the two options I kind of came down to, Gold actually seems like the one that makes the most sense. He's a guy who's generally always happy. He's generally in a good mood. He's always willing to help others. And that kind of is like a Gold Lantern to a T almost. Like, just always been happy, more or less. So, now, maybe if I will do one thing here. I will look up Fonzie and kind of, not Fozy, Fonzie. I'll look up Fonzie real quick from Happy Days and see if we can maybe exasperate anything else from this. Did you know there's a Wikipedia for everything, by the way? There's a Happy Days wiki. Better knows when I was played, is one of the most important characters in the series. He was originally a secondary character, but was soon positioned as the lead character when he began to surpass the other characters in audience popularity. Fonzie is a greaser who frequently is seen on or near his beloved motorcycle wearing a leather jacket. Adds leather jacket. In contrast to his circle of friends, at the beginning of the series, Fonzie worked as a mechanic and later became the co-owner of Arnold's Drive-In as well as a mechanic shop teacher. Which, you know what? Despite being a greaser, that means he's a pretty successful guy. About Fonzie, throughout the series, he's a personification of cool for everyone else, and though he maintains his tough reputation, he's also a loyal friend. Deep down, Fonzie longs for family, but he allows only his closest friends to see this facet of his personality. It's no secret that of what he considers himself to be cool or uncool, often showing his approval for objections with signature thumbs up or thumbs down. The former usually in tandem with his trademark expression "Eyyyyy." Over time, his thumb gesture came to me more than just a stamp approval. On a few occasions, he used it to show his gratitude, his own way of saying thanks. The most poignant example was in Richie Almost Dies, during which he quietly gives his thanks to God for bringing Richie back. At the beginning of the series, Fonzie is a high school dropout, prompting establishment characters in the show to see him as a negative influence. After an unsuccessful attempt to drop back into school, Fonzie later decided to attend night school and ultimately earned his high school diploma. Though through it all, Fonzie worked as a mechanic, and he later became an instructor at Jefferson High School and finally a full-fledged teacher. That's a success story right there. That kind of warms the cockles. His checkered past earned him a great deal of reverence from his friends and foe, like even physically larger opponents backed down from Fonzie when confronted, and those who chose to face him never prevailed. Fonzie, okay, see, this is where looking into this really helps, because if I were to add another Lantern Corps in here, Will or Fear could be on the list, because he actually did have a reputation. And most guys did back down, even bigger guys backed down. It also took a great deal of willpower to continue to persevere to get his high school diploma and ultimately, prove himself to be someone. Throughout the series, he served as a defender and protector of his friends. He also expected those who looked up to him to follow his example. Case in point, after Chachi accidentally caused Arnold's to burn down, Fonzie strongly disciplined him for his carelessness in tossing his apron into the kitchen grill and forgetting to shut it off before leaving, even though everyone else, including Al, understood it was unintentional. Despite Fonzie's well-earned status, there were still some those who chose to antagonize him, including Officer Kirk, an overzealous policeman who sometimes, though never successfully, tried to frame Fonzie or run him out of town. He's also has whimsical traits as well, including a devotion to the Lone Ranger and so forth and so on. Anyway, the biggest point of context with him would be the fact that take happiness out of the equation, in which I still argue the Gold Lantern might still be the best Lantern Corps. Looking into it now a bit more, I would probably lean as a secondary Will more than anything else. Everything he's gone through, the fact he's persevered through people's persecution of him, the fact that he was able to overcome the fact he dropped out of school and then become a teacher, the fact that he was apparently very good with the ladies, but never really had any real long-lasting relationship until season 10, and he began a long-term relationship with a single mother, but it didn't last. During the series, he never married, although in season 2 he nearly did, but Richie and Howard found out that Fonzie's fiancé worked as a stripper and was keeping a secret from him. Point being is that perseverance long term. It makes sense that the Fonzie could be either it makes sense that he would either be a Lantern of Will or a Lantern of Happiness. He genuinely seems like a guy who's always just kind of in a good mood. And yeah, he can get angry and all that, but everyone gets angry. Even people who are generally perpetually happy most of the time can still get upset. I don't think that should disqualify you from the Lantern Corps of happiness necessarily. Because if you have never, ever been upset, ever once, there is something clinically wrong with you. Anyway, so yeah, I would go either Will or I would go with Gold on this. But this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, later.